Hello folks, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. We're taking another look at MATIC to see what happened with the price decrease recently. It's not as bad as you might think, so stick around for that, and just know I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. I always recommend you do your own research. Furthermore, this is a technical analysis only. We don't dive into any fundamentals. If you have information and fundamentals on this specific coin, I ask you just go ahead and comment below and let me know so we can all learn and grow together. Also, feel free to contact me on Telegram and Twitter. We have a fantastic community there. And if you're interested in $25 worth in free Bitcoin from Voyager, there's a link in the description below as well. Let's go ahead and get right to it. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at MATIC Network. I'm going to dive into the technicals here, and what we'll do first is just take a look at Bitcoin, get a quick perspective on what that's looking like so we understand how the market's moving. And I'm also going to include Ethereum as well, so we can kind of start looking at the technical data there just to understand the big picture, because a lot of the coins that I cover are on the Ethereum network. So thank you to my viewers who recommended that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin first. So this is the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and turn on the moving averages and take a peek here. So if you saw my video from yesterday, I covered the fact that we are pretty much right here at this point, bounced off the 50-day moving average 5 times and rejected. So that essentially worked as a strong support level along with the support at 53,000. So good news is, had a small variance, came down below, shot back up, and blew right past the 100-day moving average, which I was hoping for. And it's testing the 200-day moving average as well as the previous resistance level. Okay, so this is the resistance level here. It looks like on the 18th, after we had that terrible decline in price, and it was also a support level a few weeks ago as well, in early April. So definitely something to pay attention to here. And what we're going to do is just pay, kind of be mindful of the fact that that's a resistance level. So we might see some consolidation for the next few days. But once it breaks above and stays above, we want to make sure to wait for confirmation. That would be a good indication that other markets will move a lot faster. So a lot of the other altcoins will start to increase. I think that's awesome. Next up, let's go ahead and look at Ethereum. Let's take a look. This is a 4-hour chart as well. And yeah, it's done really awesome. And I'm not sure if you guys know this, but when Bitcoin starts sagging, so to speak, and not a lot of people have a lot of faith in investing in Bitcoin when it's trying to figure itself out, Ethereum has a tendency of jumping up a lot higher because people go from Bitcoin to Ethereum. Okay, so that's usually why you see these crazy price spikes that kind of contradict Bitcoin. But what's nice here is that minus the whole, because it did in Bitcoin, definitely affects it, right? You see that strong sell-off here, but you see this major ramp up when Bitcoin was going down. Again, another sell-off in Bitcoin here, and then another ramp back up. So as you can see, making higher highs. It is retracing at this, it was retracing previously, and now it's just consistently coming up. So we're in a slight consolidation pattern. So we'll see what happens soon, but it'll either break up or break down. But at this point, none of the moving averages are going to be relevant for at least a few more days. So we're just going to kind of see where this goes. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ethereum takes off once Bitcoin passes that resistance level of 57,000. All right, so let's look at MATIC now. We'll start with a 1-day chart and work our way down. See if we can find an entry point. And as per usual, we look at the 1 day, and just to note, again, 50-day moving average was working as a support. It will not be tested for some time unless the price comes crashing down. I don't foresee that happening based on the price action right now, but that is essentially the case. We had a previous support and resistance level at 0.54, 54 cents, and a high of 94 cents. Actually, technically it's more like 95 if you were to round up, but that happened yesterday. Okay, and of course there was this channel that broke down, so now we're kind of roughly in the 80s, right around 80 to 81 cents. And look at the RSI. RSI is calming down some, so the price is becoming less overbought, which is good. We want that to calm down because in order for it to increase again, in most cases it will need to come down to an affordable price. Again, the RSI is a relative strength index. It tells us the overall strength of the price and if it's considered overbought or oversold. The moving average convergence divergence, the MACD, is arching upwards. It is looking like it's coming back down. Actually, last couple of days it's come down a little bit. So it does mean we're losing momentum. It doesn't really mean a lot, honestly, on the one-day chart. It's just something to know, but that is essentially what we're looking at right now. 4-hour chart. Let's take a quick peek here. And what's nice, and this is different from yesterday, the RSI is calming down a little more. We're down in the 60, right in the 60 range, and the MACD is also shifting to bearish sentiment. Now, what we want to pay attention to is to see if this MACD line, the bottom line here, comes back up and swings up and over. Ideally, that would be an indication of a buy signal to go long. But again, we want to look at a smaller time frame to identify a good entry point. But that's generally the concept there with the MACD. And the RSI, of course, being right around 60, it is considered to be affordable again, or within the range of a good price, you could say. Another thing to note, low volume here, a lot lower volume, which basically just means it's kind of trying to find its true price. And if we look at the price movement, here again, this is the channel we identified yesterday. The price was almost right up here at this point, just before. And it looks like it broke off. We lost support of 87 cents, and it trailed off and hit its lowest point at 78 cents recently. That was approximately 4 hours ago. Moving averages are irrelevant at this point. Perhaps the next 2 or 3 days we'll see if the 50-day moving average is tested. For now, we're kind of not really worrying about that, but all in all, that's what the 4-hour chart tells us. 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at this guy here. So before we look at RSI and MACD, which again aren't super important unless we're trying to find a specific entry point, which we'll find here in a moment, let's just quickly look at yesterday. So yesterday we were up in this range here. It sold off. It did bounce off the support level, which is nice, and the volume weighted average price, the VWAP, it held, came up and over, and then lost momentum and crashed to break the resistance level. Correction, the support level now becoming a resistance. So be mindful that the price of 87 cents will likely act as a resistance now that's been broken and staying below. Let's see if we can identify any other support levels. So we had a previous support here. It could work. This was tested quite a few times. So right around 78 cents appears to be a good one. It was tested 3 times back here, once more there, and a small variance here. So right around 78 cents could be the new support level. So this might be the new channel to pay attention to. Go ahead and remove these for now. And at this point too, the volume weighted average price is above with a slight variance, so it is still working as a resistance. So be mindful of how the price responds to the volume weighted average price moving forward. If it decides to come down and bounce off the support of 78 cents and come back up, that could be a possible entry point. Again, we want to look at a few other indicators on a smaller time frame, but the 15-minute chart is kind of telling us that. Another thing to note as well is the RSI, which, if you see here, it tapped the 30 level when it was at its most recent low, and it came back up again. So that's almost the inverse of what I was providing as an example of overextending RSI over 70. The inverse will apply. If it drops below 30, you could expect the price to likely come back up. So I would say, if this price trails off, we lose VWAP, and it comes down and it bounces off this line here. If the RSI is close to 30, it might be a good consideration to go along and take an entry, but only take a small position, as I've mentioned many times before, because we don't truly know if that support level will hold yet. But if I was in a situation based on only what I see right now, I would consider taking a position after it bounces off the 78 cent level, but only if it's received confirmation by confirming that we see 2 15-minute green bars, or if nothing else, at least just a solid the point staying solid above that support level for at least 30 to 60 minutes. It can even close in a red bar with a small candlestick, a small wick, but generally speaking, I'd like to see the price stay above that line or get tested and come back above and hold. Then at that point, I would probably add 25% to my position and then set a goal of roughly just say 3% profit, which would be somewhere along the lines of, it wouldn't be that much. I would say 3. Actually, in this case, with the climate, the way things are, I might even shoot for 5%. So ideally, the price comes down, bounces off here, you get in right around 78 cents, and then try to get out no less than 82, 83 cents. Okay, so that's something that I would probably plan to do, something along those lines. Again, this would be a short-term swing trade. If I was scalping, it'd be a different story. It'd probably only be 1 to 2%, but that is essentially what I would maybe consider doing. Let's do one last look at the 1-minute chart. See what's going on here. Again, the moving averages are irrelevant at this point. As you can tell, the volume weighted average price is traveling below right now. It could come up and test it. So if it gets rejected and falls down below, it'll likely drop down to that support level that we identified earlier, roughly around 78 cents. And just for fun, we can go ahead and add this guy here to kind of see what kind of channels we're dealing with. And as you can see, we got some support and resistance levels according to the Fibonacci retracement tool. So again, just something to note, I don't put a lot of weight into the Fibonacci retracement tool, and if I ever use it, I again always try to shoot for something less than what they are going into. So, for example, if you took entry right now, which would be a bad idea by the way, but if you did, you'd want to make sure that you sold just below this line right here to ensure that if they're controlling the price and it comes up to that level and they sell off hard, you take your profit for that small percent. Okay. But ideally what would happen is the price would come back down to somewhere around the range of 78 cents, bounce back and come back up, and in that case you'd want to shoot for a level just before these lines. I would say just somewhere in this range here. So for example, if the price bounces off here and comes up, you'd want to put your target right around here to take your profits before it passes this next threshold, to ensure that if they decide they want to sell off and reject the price and there's a retracement, then you can at least take your profit. That's usually what I do. That's how I use this tool, just to kind of give me a baseline of what they're thinking and what they're doing, and shoot for just a little less than that. And I mentioned this before, but if you're new to the channel, I like to say that you want to be less greedy than the next guy, right? So just be a little less greedy than they are, you'll be fine. That's kind of the general idea, because if you try to hold for too long, it'll just come right back on you, and then you'll try to recover your costs, and it doesn't always work out that way. So that's the review there for MATIC. If you find this beneficial, please let me know in the comments below, of course, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll be sure to keep an eye on this one as well. But I do think that the price is pretty much on average on par for where it should be right now. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next few days. But I think it's going to hold true to stick it around this relative range here. Worst case scenario, it comes down and it tests this other support level, roughly around 68, 69 cents. We'll see what happens though. I'm confident it will continue to do well. Again, under the impression Bitcoin continues to do well. Now, even though these aren't directly correlated, there is a significance in that Bitcoin will essentially help us understand, because if Bitcoin loses its bottom, this could come down again. We'll see. Either way, thanks again for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next video.